Airsoft guns, we can rebuild them. We have the skills. We can make them stronger, faster, and better than they were before.
Hey guys, welcome back to Airsoft Extreme Tech Tips. I'm Jeremy. In the past couple videos I've been showing you how to break down AK AEGs. We did the SLR 105 and then we also did the Classic Army Steel version. So that being said, now we're down to the mech box and I'm going to show you how to take that down. I rate this probably a 5 out of 10 on the gears set. The tools I'm going to be using today is a Phillips screwdriver, needle nose pliers, and a small earth magnet. Now remember, if you do any kind of modifications or upgrades yourself, you will void your warranty. Unless you're really sure and know what you're doing and everything, I would bring it to an Airsoft Extreme technician. All right, so let's get started. Biggest thing about taking this down is how this selector spacer and these gears here basically what these gears do is they select the fire on the AK. It's kind of hard to explain this process and everything, but I'll show you as best I can how to set these and also what they do. So let's get started on how to take this down. So I'll remove the selector lever and also the stop. That's safety. Basically move this over and you're ready to fire. So that's all this little piece does here. So, but let's just get this thing broken down. So first thing I like to do is I like to remove the selector spacer, as they call it, off first, because basically it runs straight through the gearbox, as you can see, and you can't get it open with it clamped it down. But I'll show you how to put all that back together. Next, I want to remove the gearbox. I guess what they call this is the spine for the gearbox. Sometimes this is going to be pretty tough to push off, so what I like to do is get like a flathead or something to kind of wedge in between here, and then you just pry it off. Once you get it past this notch right here, it's pretty easy to slide off. Just kind of move this guy. You can also use the pliers, grab the end, and pull on it. It should slide right off. It's pretty tough. And there's that. Next thing I remove is this dust cover here. Without this, the gears are exposed. If you're rolling around the dirt, whatnot, or any kind of debris, you can get inside there. So it's kind of important to have this little guy. So next I'm going to remove, this is a process I like to do, is remove the motor and the motor cage. And by doing that, you remove these two Phillips screws here. That removes the motor cage. Just kind of set that aside. Next I'm going to start taking down the gearbox. Screws are specific on where they go. So what I like to do is just kind of set them up in the order of which you see it. So basically the first one I'm going to put right here. The other different sizes or different lengths. It's a little bit longer. And there you go. All right. Now, this uses a version 3 spring guide. As you can see, like on the other videos I've shown you how to take it down, I put a punch in here. This doesn't have that. So, you gotta kind of be careful when doing this. So what I like to do is just kind of wiggle the gearbox so you kind of get it pried open. There you go. Remember, always hold down the cylinder. Or else it's just want to pop up everywhere. basically, if I can kind of shows you how gearbox is. So you pop this out, you're good to go from there. So that's how you get to the gearbox internally. So if you want to do shimmings, replace the piston, whatnot, that's how you get into it. So I should show you this while I'm in here. If this trigger unit comes apart, if you don't know what you're doing, it's a pain to get back into place. So, that being said, the easiest way I found out how to do it, or the way I do it, is I put this together like so it looks like that. So basically this little bar or detent right here pushes up against the trigger as you pull it. So make sure you put it in that way. If you put it in this way, it won't go together properly anyways. So basically set it up like so. And there's a couple ways you can do this. You can set the spring back in the gearbox, or I like to put it on the actual spring, or sorry, the trigger unit itself. So the way the spring looks is you want the longer side to actually go into the trigger unit here. Like so. So remember, just longer side on the inside of the trigger. So basically the smaller side is going to actually go in the gearbox. It's kind of hard to show this, but where this spring goes, this little piece in here, there's actually, so I can show you the best I can. At the tip of my screwdriver here, you can actually see like a little square hole. That's basically where that spring is going to sit into. So once you get that spring set into there, it'll set in properly. So don't worry about quite yet putting these two posts. These two posts are basically going to go in these two holes right here. I try to get this spring in first, and then you just manipulate the trigger to go in those two posts. So doing that. Set it in like so. And that's it. So there you go. So, oh, another thing, this detent here, which sits in this groove and it only goes in that way. Basically what this does is the top tray sits over the mech box, and this little detent pops through the hole, which holds it down. So make sure you put that guy back in there. Set this in like so. The teeth on the sector gear facing down. Put your cylinder and your piston and cylinder head all back into place. Next, oh, forgot. You want to put the spring on first. Spring. Set that in like so. Needle nose pliers. Grab the spring for the tappet plate and just make sure it goes over that post. Make sure this moves freely. That's that. So like I was showing on the last videos, you want to see how this, if you try putting this back together, this tappet plate is going to want to pop this shim off. So I like to put this on top so that shim doesn't move out of place. Like so, and this goes together pretty much just like the version 2. Make sure your shims are back on here, on the gears. So once again, just kind of grab with your fingers like so. So this index finger can go through this opening right here, so you can hold down the cylinder, or else it's just going to want to pop up. Slide in like so. Hold the cylinder down, and put this back into place. Make sure that these posts go in these. You can see the cutouts right here where the post to sit into. Just push it in like so, and then close it up. All right, see how it's not, these posts are not sitting in the gearbox properly, so you want to just kind of pull the trigger and manipulate it, but also that tappet plate sitting on top of that gear, which is holding that shim down, so push the nozzle down. You just kind of finagle it back into place here. And there you go. It's a little bit more difficult to put together than a version 2, just because there's more pieces, more going on with the trigger, plus you got this detent on top. If this detent does pop out, you can kind of get like a small screwdriver or even like a razor blade or something, and you can kind of pry this open just a little bit, just enough to get this back into place. Just don't pry it open all the way, or else it's gonna pop open on you. So that's that. So put these screws back in. So the reason why I did, or I showed you the earth magnet in the beginning is, on the past couple videos I've shown you that it actually holds down the anti-reverse latch, because sometimes it likes to pop out. So this anti-reverse latch cooperated with me, so I didn't need to use it. So next I want to put on the motor cage. Put the screws back in. All right. So you can do this in any process you want to do, but it's just usually the way I do it. Put the dust cover back on. Just pops into place like so. Next, I want to put on the spine. Most of the time, this needs to be hammered in. That. All right, the cam part, or the selector parts. So start this side first with this piece with the bar sticking out. The way you want to set this in is this, obviously it's going to go through this hole. So easiest way that I can explain how to do it, so you get this first tooth on the far right, and you want to match it up with these two, in between these two teeth on the right of this cam, or this selector part. See how they mesh together? Or you can just put it straight down and just match all the teeth, like so. So hold that into place, flip the gearbox back over, and then you're gonna get the other piece to it. This only sets in one way. As you can see, there's like a cutout. Well, this side has a cutout too. Obviously, you don't want to go this way or flip it around. Just pops in like so. Screw goes back in. And that's that. Just make sure that this side is matching up. So it's basically what this does is move the selector plate. The selector plate goes from, that would be semi-auto and then full auto. The cutoff lever is basically not engaged, so it doesn't, it only makes it shoot full auto. Flip that back over. Next is the trigger stop. There's two sides of this. As you can see, there's kind of a square side and the round side. Well, you want the round side to match up with this lever here. So you just get this post, put in the hole, and that's that. Next is the selector lever. It's basically, get this first tooth here, on the top of this selector cam, if you want to call it, and then match it up with the top part of the lever, just like so. Basically you want all these teeth to just match up properly, but if you get the first teeth set inside of there, it'll match up every time. So just put that in there, rotate that down. So basically this opening right here is going to sit in this part of the gearbox like so. Sometimes this wants to, so it doesn't set right. So you just set it, get something to push it over. You can use your finger or screwdriver or whatnot, and just make sure it sets in like so. That's how it works out. So when you're putting it back in the receiver, just make sure, kind of let gravity do the work for you a little bit, but at the same time you're gonna kind of hold it into place. This part can be a little tricky, but you should be all right. So basically hold it down. Once you hold up just basically this bar down, none of it will come apart, but as soon as you let it go, it's gonna wanna pop out. So go ahead and slide the motor in, the receiver, get the wire, and then with the, there's an opening back here. I just want to feed that wire through. This is probably the hardest part about the whole thing, just because the wire gets bunched up and whatnot. You just want to make sure it fits, slides in nice and easy. And there's also some grooves in here where the wire should run through. Like there's a cutout right here in the receiver. The wire should just basically, as I'll show you. So once you get to this point too, you can actually let go of the cams because the body's going to want to keep it into place. But make sure when you put this together, you just don't pinch the wires. You just want to take your time with it and just make sure it goes in nice and easy. And that's it. This should line up nice. If it's off center, whatnot, you're probably pinching a wire somewhere. So once you get to this point, get your selector, the actual selector lever, just put that into place, screw it down, and then just start building it up. That's about it. That's this edition of Tech Tips. I'm Jeremy. Have a good day.